y'all doing? How y'all doing on this Sunday evening, Euphoria Sunday? We just finished up a live watch along. Myself and this amazing community, we watched the episode together. There was moments where I was speechless. There was moments I was a little bit confused. Maybe some disappointment that we'll get into tonight. But overall, man, this is the finale. This is the season 2 finale of Euphoria, episode 8. A lot to discuss. My guests will be coming and joining us in a little bit. Some of our guests might be running a little bit behind, but that's okay. We got a fun discussion to have, no less. What's going on? This is your first time tuning in. My name is Elliot, and I just want to take the moment to thank you all. These last 8 weeks, which is crazy. This has been 8 weeks that we've been covering this show, but the last 8 weeks, man, has been incredibly humbling. It's been just an incredible journey talking to you all, interacting with you all. The comments have been fantastic. The discussions have been fantastic. The personal stories you all have shared in the comments, connecting yourself to the narrative that we give the show has been very, very. I appreciate it. I love this community. In the last 8 weeks, we've crossed the 20,000 mark. We've added a lot new people to this family, and I just really want to take the time to thank you all. And it really means a lot to me because there's so many. We've had a lot of the people that cover the show on this very channel talking about the show. There's so many other great YouTubers, content creators that cover the show that's doing a great job of doing so. But the fact that you all watch my videos, share them, and engage with them means a lot. So the fact that we have 76 people watching live means a lot. So I wanted to take the time before we get into the discussion to just thank you all. From me to you, you all are incredible. We have a lot to discuss tonight, but again, I would feel empty aside if I didn't tell you all how much it means to me that you all support the channel and support these videos. So with all that being said, I think the next thing that's in line is let's go ahead and pay the respects to this young man that went out with guns blazing. We're gonna get into that again. Is he dead? Is the question that we might have to discuss tonight. As one of my guests has just popped up in the back room, we go ahead and bring her in. I've had her on. I want to say this is the third time. Clearly, I'm a fan of her work to have her on here and talking about this show. I know how much she loves the show. I don't know what she thought about the finale, so I'm really excited to see what she thought about it. She covers this on her TikToks. Does such a great job of doing so. So happy to have her on tonight. I'm talking about the one and only Gabriella. How we doing? How we doing?
I had to put glasses on today.
Yeah.
The tears were rolling, and I was like, not good today. I was like,
it was one of those days, it was bittersweet. It was like, oh man, the finale's here. But I'm like, oh damn, the finale's here. And yeah, we got it, Gab. We made it 8 weeks. And I'm so excited to have you on tonight to talk about this episode and break it all down, the highs, the lows, thoughts, theories, all that stuff in between. It's going to be a fun night. But hey, do me a favor, Gab. Why don't you let the fine folks at home know who you are, where they can find you, all that good stuff. Let them know.
I'm on TikTok, Gab Angelina. Those are all my handles. And I'm always reporting on Euphoria. Always got Euphoria sounds and always filming TV. Always filming TV everywhere on all the socials. So Gabriella Angelina on all of them.
Awesome. And her links are in the description of this very video. So definitely check her out. So, and we're going to have a couple other guests that might be running a little late. Well, that's fine because Gabby and me going to hold it down with you all tonight. But Gab, I just want to just jump right into some of my thoughts to talk to you about this episode. Just initial thoughts once the episode started. How were you feeling? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Were you all of the above? And then how did you feel after this episode ended?
I think I went into it being sad. Like I was like, oh, like excited, but I'm kind of sad. And also there was so much going on. So my expectations were a little too high, I think.
Yeah.
My whole mood changed. Like I would say like 10, 15 minutes in, I went from like, oh, Euphoria is so on. I'm so excited. No, This is no.
Yeah. It's the emotions, as you just mentioned, is something I was going through. I just hosted a live watch party. So everyone saw my live reaction to this episode for the first time. And I was just like, there's like you just mentioned, just like, oh, okay. And then it's like, we're going this way, that way. Some moments that I thought could have been maybe taken out and maybe focus on other areas. Lori, I thought she was going to have a presence in this episode.
Where is Lori? Where is Lori? I
She's
want
at
so
home. She's feeding her birds. She's feeding her birds morphine to keep
Miss
them
Lori girl, you
focused.
had a 10K suitcase. You didn't want your money back?
She's she got other things to do, I guess. She has other priorities to be had. But yeah, I mean, so I guess the first question that comes to mind before we break down this episode, Gab, is how are you feeling about this season? Like overall, I know it's a lot to take in. We just finished the finale, but just like how are you feeling about this season as a whole? Was it as strong as season one? Was it on par with season one? Did it exceed your expectations? Was it a little bit disappointing? Just how are you feeling about this second season of Euphoria compared to the first one?
I think the thing is that I love both seasons for different reasons because they give you
Yeah,
completely different vibes. It almost feels like two different shows almost at this point. I
very
feel
much
like
so. Yeah,
like with
yeah,
same characters, different show, almost same kind of thing. But I loved season one because we got such good introductions to these characters and
yeah,
everything was so seamless. And it was almost, again, like things were given to us for a reason. This season, I feel like kind of they went off track and it was like things are going to be given to you, but you don't need them. They're just here for yays. Like, so I don't know, but I will say, other than obviously Labyrinth's score, season two soundtrack took every cake. I think like that's one of the things that stood out for me for season two, and the cinematography. I think
I
this.
was just gonna say, yeah, and it's because I know you someone that definitely appreciates good production. The
Yeah,
production is flawless, and that is something I can definitely say from one to two. That continuation, from the purple hues to just getting a little bit more darker, more a little grittier this season is definitely something I appreciate. And like you said, the soundtrack Labyrinth is just always, as they say,
unbelievable.
he knows the assignment. He never drops the ball on that. Which, by the way, that song him and Euphoria made, or him and Zendaya made. I need to go ahead and download that right now while we are getting this situated. But I'm looking through the episode now because this review is going to be, or this breakdown is going to be a little bit different than the previous ones because before I had the chance to look at the episode prior to them, so I was able to put stuff together. So I'm looking at the episode now, and I'm looking at this first scene here. Was it me, Gab, or were you on the edge of your seat with this whole Fez situation to start the episode off in that matter, which, we go right into it. Ashtray is a ride or die. He did not want his big brother to take the fall for him. But I mean, we got to be honest, Gab. That little man is a
He's a hard criminal in the best way. I mean, I don't even know how to like. He's a hard criminal in the
Ooh.
best way because he let Cal Jacobs go, so he's not. We know he's not like a serial killer. If he was a serial killer, then he definitely would have taken out Cal Jacobs. So like, I kind of feel like did he? I don't know. My heart. It's my
It's
heart
still
has been
recovering.
shattered.
Yeah.
It's so shattered. And I also think the cutscenes kind of bothered me with the Fezco situation. Like we finally started to see this situation unravel that we've all been dying for.
Yeah.
And we were given the Jacobs. And really,
Yeah.
like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned, speaking of shattered, I'm looking at Faye, which I guess we got to say it now. Shout out to Faye. She came through in the
Girl, you
clutch.
came through.
I didn't know she was gonna be able. She went under. It was like, don't say anything. Which shout out to Faye because that's a character that I literally thought we were gonna see episode one and just be like a little random character.
Right.
But she was, if I'm not mistaken, she was in every single episode. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was in every, even if it was like a couple of one scene, two scenes, she was in every episode. Which I don't know if we're gonna get more of her in season three, but shout out to Faye coming through in the clutch because
Did what you
her
were supposed to.
boyfriend. Man, so again, I'm looking at the scene here, and again, Ashtray, you mentioned he's not a serial killer. I might beg to differ because my man, he asks no questions. He's a shoot first, ask questions later, or maybe not ask questions at all. But when you saw him, we know he had the knife in his hands this last week. He stabs him in the neck, and your thoughts on that moment there? Was it because this was my reaction? It's just like, oh god, how are we going? I'm looking at it right now. He stabs him in the neck. It's very similar to what he did to Mouse. He just reacts. Did you jump out of your seat, Gab, when he
Yeah,
did that?
yeah, yeah. I was like, Ashtray, no, just screaming, like, no, man, no, this was not what we were supposed to do. We was already recording. Why'd you do that? Like, and then also I felt like in the back of my head, it was more, oh my God, no, Fezco. This poor boy. This
Yeah,
poor boy just wanted to go to this play and impress a girl,
yeah,
and his little brother could not contain himself. And he had to go through. I just felt so bad for Fezco. That was my first thing. I was like, this poor kid.
Same here. I mean, I almost not that we condone violence over here, but I'm just like, Ashtray, if you wanted to kill the man, you could have killed the man last season when you hit him with the hammer. Just finish the job then. But obviously, I guess he's finishing it here with the stab to the neck. And again, just seeing how Fez he's trying to think on his feet, and I love how we transition to the first thing that it might not be the first thing, but it seems to me the way they cut that shot. The first thing that he thought of when he got the phone is we cut straight to him talking to Lexi. And we
Mhm.
see that relationship develop over, as Rue told us last week, that they have been talking every day for the last few months. And was it me to is it right to assume that the first thing he thought about was Lexi in that moment when all that shit was going down, or it was just happened to be cut that way? Do you think Lexi was the first person he thought of when all the shit hit the fan?
I don't know if that was the first. I mean, I feel like his brain would go to business and Ashtray. So I don't know if that was maybe the first thought, but I definitely think she was a thought without a doubt. I think that she was a major thought because she kind of kept him floating between the lines of good and bad. Like he's a
Yeah.
good person, but he does bad things kind of situation. So I don't know if I was like the first person, but she was definitely a top three probably.
Yeah, because I think if it was to be cut that way, I think he saw maybe a way out in a certain extent. Like you just mentioned, she was kind of that one person in his life that, we know how much Rue means to him, but Rue kind of, she uses him for obviously a friendship, but also that's your drug dealer, and everyone else who might have a close relationship to him might just be there for drugs. But she was the one person that never like wanted something from him, right? So I think it was almost like that kind of and I'm looking at the episode now, them talking about the little house on the prairie and kind of talking about what future will look like for Fez, which we don't know what will come of him, next season. But I do think that he really wanted to see a new side of life with Lexi. And I don't know, Gab. What is that something we can expect in the season 3? Those two, or is he in jail for the rest of his life?
That's like another thing that I was kind of confused about with the whole episode. By the time I got to the end, I was like, wait, so
Because no
who's
one addressed it. No one mentioned it, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
who's alive? Who's dead? Should I be concerned? Did he go to jail? Like
Right.
very kind of confusing, which was irritating because he was such a big part of this season. We started the season with Fezco's backstory, so
Right.
to not get a like final answer on like what exactly happened with him, that was irritating to me. I was
Yeah.
kind of mad. I was like,
Same here. And speaking of mad, you brought up episode 1. Grandma's in the room. Did she catch a stray bullet? Is
right,
she
did we leave her
okay?
there?
Yeah, like what's going on there? Is grandma okay? That's one of the first things that came to mind. But again, just I guess kind of transition into this Lexi and Fez relationship, because I know some people in the comments felt like your perspective on the situation. Do we know the age difference between those two characters as far as the
I
whole
was under the
Fez?
impression that Fezco and Rue, like they were all the same age, but Fezco dropped out of school
Yeah,
because he was working with his grandma.
right,
So
right.
I don't think that they have an age difference. I think that they're the same age, but Fezco just dropped. He never went to school
Yeah. Because I
because
know
that
some
was
people were
kind of
like,
the
"You
story.
guys are okay with, this." So
Yeah, I
the only
don't.
thing I remember from season 1, and I don't know if they retcon this, I remember Nate saying you're, half a, what he called them last year. You dropped out of school 19, 20. And again, I don't know if he was being literal that he dropped out of school at 20, or if he was just, talking shit to him. But um,
No.
I want to see them. I want to see them as a couple. Again, if the ages are more closer than the 20-year-old talking to a 17-year-old or whatnot. But that was a relationship that I really wanted to see them both kind of flourish in and kind of have together. But again, we don't know if Fez is number one. He's shot in the stomach. Is he, dying of blood loss, or
Right.
is he arrested and answering for his little brother's crimes? That kind of left to up to our imagination. But speaking of imagination, Cassie was in a dream mindset this whole season as she's breathing on the glass. Carrie meets Michael Myers. Gab, I thought when she was walking down that aisle, because I went back to her dream sequence to being in the bathroom confessing her love to Nate. I'm like, oh, this isn't real. They're not on stage putting all their dirty laundry out for everyone to
Right.
see in the school. Gab, this was real. Cassie has the everything. It's just, you know what? You want me to be the villain? I'm the villain. Sydney Sweeney did her thing this season, but goddamn,
Amazing.
Cassie, what are we gonna do with you? Your thoughts, Gab, on her? Just I'm looking at her right now, walking down the aisle, about to tell her sister how she really feels, and she's gonna put on that
Miss
villain hat.
Cassie, the audacity on Miss Cassie this season, unbelievable. Every episode, I'm like, girl, no one has come for you yet. So this episode, I felt like was a little. This was like the part where I was like, yeah, we've been waiting. Finally, like it's gonna happen here. So I was really excited, but just the audacity to get on the stage and you were mad at Lexi for airing your dirty laundry, but you got on the stage and aired it yourself. Like that was a little. That didn't really make any sense. You made
Very
yourself
true.
look dumb. So I was so mad because I was hoping that Lexi would have like, Cassie would just have that moment, maybe like a realization, like, I'm nuts. I need help. He's crazy. He's abusive. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Nah, and I was praying. First off, can we all made the jokes about, okay, what school are they going to that they can afford this play, but I'm now more concerned about, are there even teachers that are present in the school?
No one
Why
stopped
was
it.
Cassie able to just walk on a stage and while out? Like there are clearly no teachers in the school. This has been confirmed. You heard it here first. There are no teachers in the school.
100% Euphoria High. There's a principal. That's it.
That's it.
Everyone, the kids teach each other.
Everyone teaches themselves. Yep. Rue does. She teaches classes when she, tells the kids about how to take dick pics and all that stuff. That's their school. That's their, curriculum. There's no teachers. Yeah,
Has
that
to
has been
be.
confirmed. But I mean, just looking at Cassie, just the arc for the character again, from knowing where her kind of abandonment comes from with her dad and kind of always chasing love. How did you feel this episode wrapped? Do you feel a good conclusion with Cassie? Do you feel like there's still meat on the table to explore on that character? How did you feel about the Cassie progression or degression of the character this season?
I think it was good because it was out of control. If she
Yeah,
wasn't
that was a
like,
great
if she
word to
was kind of
describe it.
treading waters where it was like all season, she was kind of getting with Nate and maybe like they wanted to be in a relationship or she was going back and forth with it, I think it would have been like a really boring kind of repetitive storyline, the best friend's boyfriend thing. But because she took it as far as she did through the entirety of the season,
Yeah,
it made it so incredibly addicting to watch because you just didn't know like what's next. What
yeah.
he can dress you, he can just. I'm so intrigued to know what kind of psychosis breakdown we're gonna have next. So this play, I think I feel like it's just the beginning for her. Like she has no idea.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and I'm still very curious on why Nate. Why was it so, as you just mentioned, tell me what to wear, tell me what to dress, who to talk to? Why was she so submissive into giving her all to Nate? Because we saw a little bit of that with Chris McKay in season one, trying to please him with the college fraternity stuff and all that different stuff. But she was head over heels for Nate Jacobs. And I still don't really understand the infatuation, the obsession with having this approval from this terrible person.
I think listen, I could be wrong, but I think being a woman it makes more sense in the sense of like it can take you there, especially if someone knows all your weaknesses. And I think that
Yeah.
Nate knows what to say and what strings to pull with Cassie to make her feel exactly the way she's looking to feel, but
Yeah.
also have full blown control over her. So I think it's like even when you're in high school and you have your first boyfriend, you're going to do whatever whatever you can to be in a happy relationship because you're in love and it's engulfed in it. So I think it's more of like the high school storyline of that sense where it's an obsession and she's never been actually loved and Nate's showing her all the wrong attention kind of.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of why it's happening because Cassie on like real life too pretty for that, too much for that. No.
Yeah, I mean, she could have any person that she
Anyone.
wanted, but she decided to go with the devil. And you hit on a good point, and someone mentioned in the chat too, as far as the tension she wanted, but at the wrong time. Because just going back to when she met him, or when this relationship kind of started, she was on the stoops of a convenience store. Her and her sister just got into a fight, and he offered her a ride. And obviously, we know what that led into. But it was just the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's just, as you said, it was just the attention that she thinks she needed. But it was, she's just looking for any sense of approval. But I hope that we do explore more of this. this pattern of Cassie, because I was hoping to maybe explore that a little bit more this season. We're seeing her do all of these crazy, outrageous things, but we really haven't really dove deep into, is it really the father angle, the abandonment angle? Is it just, being young, being crazy in love, or is there something deeper there? So I was really hoping we explored that a little bit more, but that wasn't the case. But I just want to bring it up now because I'll probably forget to bring her up because I think the show forgot to bring her up, and just in general. Can we talk about Kat for a second, Gab? She was in this episode. She was in all the episodes, but we talked about the rumors a couple weeks ago with her, Sam having some beef. What does Kat do next season? Are they gonna
I
just write her off at this point?
listen,
And I'm gonna
I
let you take this. So I gotta get my dog who's running around the house. Give me a couple minutes, but take it away. What talk about Kat? What's up with Kat?
all right, I got it. I think Kat is I think she's having a hard time. I think she needs to first of all, I think the situation with Ethan was so funny and so well done and so hysterical. So I'm kind of upset that we didn't get more from it or more discussions with Kat. We didn't even really get a follow up on the situation. We only got Maddie and Kat discussing the relationship prior to even breaking up with him. So I think it's kind of frustrating that if all that production drama was true, if it was indeed that big of an issue, it kind of sucks because it really did affect the entirety of the story, especially for Kat, because she had such a good storyline and such a well orchestrated one that was so relatable nonetheless. So to kind of just take from her it was such a childish move because you just missed a major. But we also didn't get as much Jules as you really think we did.
That was gonna be my next point. Yep.
We didn't really. So here's my take on this. My consensus that I thought of. My thing was because they do know they have season 3, and I'm assuming they knew that prior because this show is taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe season 1 was an introduction to all the characters, but we didn't
Mhm.
get all the characters that we got this season. We got Fezco, we got Lexi, we got Fezco's grandma's Cal. So
Got a
I
new character in Elliot.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I think because they entered a different realm of like the characters and the backstories, they kind of just left the ones from first season like, oh, well, we already gave them like their
Their
stories,
shine.
their drama, their
Yeah.
shot. Now let's like scooter on to new people, which I guess could work. So maybe like season 3, Kat will have more time,
Give her
Jules will have
more screen
more time.
time. Yeah.
I hope because I really loved Kat's storyline, and I even like
You
with
and me
the
both.
influencer thing, it was so brilliant. It was so good. It would be so childish to let something so stupid ruin that good of a character.
I couldn't agree with you more. Especially, I mean, so in this season they addressed it. I can't. Episode 3, episode 4, when she did the whole social media thing, and she's still young. She's still figuring herself out. We're not asking these 17, 18-year-olds to be fully developed and know who they are as people. But it is. I think you said it perfectly in regards to, fortunately and unfortunately, we have this great, amazing cast. And like you said, season 1 introduced us to so many interesting plots, subplots. Some of the subplots were maybe even more interesting than the main plots. Cat, for example. But sometimes when you have such a big show, you have such a cast that has been growing hugely on social media, especially from when this show came out 2 years ago to now. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. These actors are huge. So it is unfortunate that not everyone's going to get that time to shine. But I hope you're right in the sense of, we had Kat in the back for a little bit. We had Jules, who we'll talk about here in a second, and hopefully next season we can get more of their story and get more diving deep into what we got in season 1. But before we get into Jules, I just want to get your thoughts on this. I love this song by Elliot, or I should say Dominic, which I assume will be on the soundtrack. But I was kind of like, can we move on to another
Yes, very
season?
much yes. And I never say that about Euphoria with the music either. I'm usually like,
Same.
leave it on, let it play. But this time I was like, okay,
We got Fez to worry about. We got all this stuff.
verses. Yeah, it's a lot of verses, and I need you to pick up the pace. I have somewhere to be. Yeah, 100%. But I do love that Dominic sang it,
Yeah.
Zendaya and Labyrinth wrote it. I
Yeah.
thought that was dope. And I love that they're involved in the music. But Yeah, too lengthy for me. Love the song,
It was
didn't need
great.
that
It
version.
was great, Gab. It was so good of a song, and I was just waiting for him to say, he was singing to her, and by the way, I slept with your girlfriend, but he didn't let that out for whatever reason.
Right.
Elliot, you skated off pretty clean there. Was you thinking then at that moment that he was going to, because he says truth or dare, and I thought when he said truth, can we still be friends? Yeah, sure, maybe not, because I slept with your girlfriend. That secret's going to go into next season, I guess, or is it even a plot we want to see more of in regards to this whole love triangle? Your thoughts on Elliot not telling her what him and Jules were up to?
Elliot's grown on me. I like Elliot. And I like Elliot because I don't like Jules. And I don't like Jules this season because I just felt like the decisions that she did make, even season one, we're all going to be honest. Yeah, hard growing up. But I think that that's a lot of these characters. They don't have simple lives. And that's kind of the basis of the situation. Like, none of these kids come from perfect homes. Everyone has their own reason, everyone has their own trauma.
Yeah.
But like, Jules, just a lot of the decisions from the beginning, even when she was with Rue, were such selfish decisions that she made them for herself, for wherever they were going to get Jules. I liked Elliot because I think Elliot gave everyone an insight to how selfish Jules truly was. Like, you
Mm,
finally saw that she would cross that line. So if she loved Rue the way she said she loved Rue, would she have crossed that line? So I think Elliot was good for the storyline and good for kind of the characters. I ended up kind of really liking him. I think he's stupid for doing drugs and continuing.
yeah.
However, I'd be kind of excited to get like into his backstory and like see what's going on there.
That's exactly where I'm at about the character. I think you said it beautifully. He is an interesting character, the voice of an angel. I know he's a real artist in real life, and he did pose a certain foil in the relationship between Rue and Jules. But I'm not gonna lie, Gab. I feel like he was just kind of,
Floating.
yeah, just kind of floating and was just used as a plot device. Because as you just mentioned, who are you? Where were you last season? Who are your parents? What gets you into the, like? Why didn't we get that flashback? We always get an episode where we kind of learn who the character is. I assume we're going to learn more. And you said it perfectly. We're going to get a season 3, but I'm always not a fan of like, we're gonna get it. Yes, we
Yeah.
know we got to see, but can we get a complete narrative, a complete chapter here versus waiting to, and we'll talk about that. Apparently, 2 years before we might see another season with Zendaya's schedule filling up by the minute. But I don't know. I'm kind of just indifferent about Ellie because I just feel like he was just literally just a plot device to put a little bit of tension between Rue and Jules. And we all know that their relationship has been fractured since season 1, especially with the train scene. But I don't know. I don't blame the actor. I think he did a good job in his role, but I just blame Sam Levinson just kind of not really exploring who this character is. And then him to not tell Rue the truth. I'm just like, come on, man. You guys are kind of sharing these intimate
Right.
moments. She talked to him about how she felt about her dad. And I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about that character right now. I don't know.
I'm interested to know more about him, and I think if I knew more about him, I'd be good. But I
Yeah.
think writing this, I don't. Something tells me that something severe changed in like a writer's room, or some kind of major decision was made behind
You're
the
on something.
scenes from first season to second season. And it
Yeah.
obviously wasn't casting or changing around the actors,
Yeah.
but there was something going on because the writing, either things were filmed and kept out or cut out, or we didn't want it in there,
Yeah.
or we just didn't write, like maybe not the same writers, or it just something is not clicking because the story were so seamless the first season. Everything had a reason,
Yeah.
everything tied in. This season, I felt it just, things are just like popped all over the place. So I'm trying to put them together myself.
I think it's pretty. I don't want to say it's apparent, but I think you're right on the money. There was definitely some issues with from, obviously we know that they were going to go to season 2. Production got shut down due to the pandemic. A lot of rewrites, and also too, just when you brought that up, when I think about it, Elliot didn't interact with anyone else other than Rue and Jules this season, which makes me think of going back to the pandemic. We got this actor to shoot these scenes, and like I said, he didn't interact. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Elliot interacted with anyone else besides, well, I guess Leslie and Gia with that one scene when he was in the living room, but they could have, the way they blocked that, he could have
Yeah, but they
shot
didn't.
that
Yeah,
without them. Yeah, they didn't interact. So Yeah, I hate to blame a show. A lot of the Marvel shows, Phase 4 was affected by the pandemic, but I think we're starting to see some of the cracks in some of the writing process with this season. And I hope that if we are to get this 2 year gap, which sucks, I hope that Sam can lock back into what we got from season one to keep these stories a little bit more cohesive and the characters to have the depths that we've come to love. Because I think let's get into Jules. Jules is a character. I know a lot of people don't like Jules. I'm a fan of her, especially after kind of exploring her special, which I know a lot of people don't like as well. But I
I
was
loved her
really,
special.
I thought it was so
Loved her
great.
special.
It was
Don't
so
like
great. We learned a little bit about her mom, and her mom was an addict, which might explain why she's so, there for Rue and could kind of get a understanding why she didn't want Rue to be on drugs. But yeah, this season with Jules, it was her only thing was Elliot and Rue. It was nothing about her at all. And then that one little scene, which brings me to season 3. Gab, is it going to explore Jules and Nate maybe having that
for
conversation?
the love of God, no. For the love of God, no. No.
They seem to end that conversation in the car. It seemed to be a little bit more pleasant than I was anticipating. He's saying, I meant everything that I said. She said the same thing to him. We never really address she is still in love with Tyler, aka Nate.
I don't have time for this girl. I don't have time. Like, that's how I feel this character. Like, girl, I am tired. You're tired. We're all tired. Just take a break. Take a break. Take a break. Do some self care. Work on yourself. Do a self mask. Because I can't. I'm over her. I love this show, but this relationship, you just ruined Jules in general. I think I am so like worn over to the like into the ground about just because
Yeah.
we know you're toxic. We know that this is enough. We know that both of you are very selfish people and this is not going to work. And that's it. And I think Nate Jacobs also. That's enough.
Listen, we're going to get to Nate here in a second, but I do want to shine a light on a moment that we've all might have experienced this. Maybe not to the extent of Lexi, but I love that even with all the stuff, the house is burning, the kids are screaming, 911's on the way. She was able to kind of pick herself back up, and I love that it was Rue that started cheering for Lexi because it's something that Lexi has always been there for Rue, but it hasn't been hasn't been reciprocated, at least from what we've seen in the first 2 seasons. Tell me how you felt about Lexi getting on stage and just saying, "Hey, this is the play. This is my life. The show must go on." I love that moment for that character, especially that Rue was the one to kind of get the crowd back going.
I was like,
I
yes, this
loved it.
is
I loved
amazing.
it.
Yes, Rue. I'm so happy for her. But I think I loved Lexi's storyline this season. I think I loved it because it felt so close to home for me, especially when you're in production and stuff. If you're behind the scenes or you're a writer, it's so on point of how it feels to have to like really tap into your memories and write a script. It really does feel almost exactly the way Lexi kind of describes it, which I think is amazing. And I love that she powered through because
Yeah.
it's very difficult to have to rewrite those memories, especially memories that she
Yeah.
was rewriting. Those are horrible memories to someone would want to relive. So I was so proud of the moment for her. So, so proud. And I think her being able to say, like, that was for Fez was
Yeah.
broke my heart, but also I was like, yes, like, oh, so cute, so good, so
Yeah.
happy for her. But Cassie deserved it. And I was so happy. I was so happy. She said some people need their feelings. They do.
Yep.
People do need their feelings hurt.
And listen, we're not going to skip over Cassie. It wasn't Maddie that necessarily hit her. I guess we could say
Yes,
that wall
Maddie,
hit her pretty good.
no, Maddie
She
busted
smacked her.
her up
She
against the
smacked her.
wall.
Oh, yeah, and she smacked
I
her on
love it.
stage too.
I
Listen,
love that that's her signature move. Head slam, that's amazing. Maddie's my spirit animal. So the second I was like, yes, girl, bring the head slam back right for her. She deserves it. Sitting in
listen.
the audience, like someone needs to put her down. Absolutely.
The parents weren't doing it. The adults were just sitting there watching this disaster going on. But Maddie was like, you know what? Everyone's been waiting for this. Let me go ahead and give it to them. And she took the shoes off Gab. She ran on stage. Cassie was trying to run around. She got it with the right hook. She runs in the back of stage and Maddie's been doing it since age 3, age 4. She's been slapping young girls' heads in the locker room. She has been here for it. Again, we don't condone violence here on this channel, but That was an ass whooping.
Yeah,
Well deserved. I don't know,
well
Gab,
deserved.
which ass whooping was more deserving? Was it Fez to Nate episode 1, or was it Maddie to Cassie in the season finale? Which ass whooping was just satisfying? And everyone in chat, let me know which
I
ass whooping
I think,
had you
see,
satisfied.
Vesco was one of those situations that we had waited all season for someone to beat Nate Jacobs, so that started off strong. But this fight, I've been waiting. Maddie, no, this was so satisfying. I watched her get up, and I said, "Girl, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest and get her because she deserves it." And I've had enough, and we've all had enough. So do it.
Yeah.
Girl on girl violence. I don't condone it, but this time, girl, I do. Go get her.
Gab, you said it perfectly. Fez told us sometimes people just need to get their feelings hurt, and sometimes those feelings can be in the form of punches to the face and heads slammed into the wall.
I thought it was
And that's what
ridiculous. She was running from her. She was so tough on
she was
stage.
tough, right? She was all that
Like,
bark, all that bark.
why are
But
you
hey,
running?
Big dog Maddie came on stage and let her know. And it was so interesting. Going back to last week's episode, very small moment, but a really cool, intimate moment between Maddie and Lexi when she was talking about confidence. And Maddie might be the sister that she might deserve, right? And kind of, unofficial sister being Maddie saved her little sister in this case, Lexi. So I don't know. That's a relationship I would like to explore next season. Is a little bit more of Maddie and Lexi, having more screen time because I think it's great. And like I said, her unofficial sister stepped up more than her actual sister, which speaks so
Right,
much to their friendship right now.
right.
But going to again the moment I don't want to skip over the tension because this was just my heart was pounding. And before we get into this scene with Ashtray, aka Chucky, the serial killer, we got our second guest coming in. With all, I can't wait to hear his thoughts. I got my main man, Big Dog, coming back talking about Euphoria. What is happening, my man?
Yeah.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing tonight?
Gab, we want to let Big. We doing all right. We
I'm
doing all
I'm
right.
we're floating.
Yeah,
We're
we
floating.
we so far, Big Dog. We talked about the beginning of the episode and how we felt about it. We're gonna get back into this scene here with Ashtray, but just briefly, man. We just had I asked Gab a question, asked a chat, ass whoopings that was just deserving to be happening. How did you feel about Maddie giving the hands and putting those hands on her ex best friend versus when Fez did it? Which ass whooping to you was just like, oh, yes.
Oh, I think I still gotta go with Fez with Nate, bro. I feel like Nate is just like a terrible human being. I feel like Cassie does some terrible things, but like Nate had that built up for like
The
a
whole
whole
season,
season.
right? I hear you, man. But hey, before we get more into this conversation, Big Dog, why don't you let the fine folks at home know who you are, where they can find you, and all the great stuff you do for your audience, my friend.
What's going on, you guys, man? It's one take Big Dog. If you just call me Big Dog, that's cool. Find me over at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, any other all other social media platforms at One Take Big Dog. I do a lot of movie reviews, television shows, anime, all that good stuff, and I do some skits on TikTok. If you want to come over there and have a laugh.
Listen, guys, between Gabby and between Gabriella and between Big Dog, when you talk about just incredible humor, sense of humor, and just doing the damn thing on their social media accounts. They are great. So again, their links are in the description below. Give them a follow. You will not be disappointed. So Big Dog, we were talking about it here, man. We talked about it at top, but now I'm going back to it in regards to this is kind of in the middle of the episode. Ashtray, man. Whoa, bro. He stabbed my man in the neck, and at this point, I don't know if you all got a little teary eyed, but when Fez came up to him, put the head on his head, and said, "I'm gonna take the fall for you, bro," he should have knocked his little ass out because he goes into the laundry room, takes all the weapons, and proceeds to just go out guns blazing. Big Dog, how did you feel about Ashtray? Is it a product of his environment? Did he do the right thing? I mean, it's a kid. He technically, not to sound cold hearted, he was the one that killed Mouse. Um, and if we're getting even more technical, if my man would have been paying attention to the screen 2 weeks ago when Faye walked into the alley, we might have not been in this situation. Listen, he's a kid. I ain't gonna talk bad about him because we don't know if he's dead or not. But one take, Ashtray going out like Tony Montana.
Listen, this happened. My stomach was turned. I felt so uncomfortable watching this. Like I started clenching like my jacket. I'm like, no, there's like, don't do this. Like, what are you doing? The moment he went to the washer, I'm like, what is he getting out the washer if he's gonna turn himself? Oh no, he's not turning.
He
Like,
ain't
there's
washing clothes,
no.
I'll tell you that.
I'm like, please don't do this. And I do think it's kind of like a product of that environment.
Yeah.
This has been Ashtray's entire life. He's
Right.
known nothing else. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, Ashtray might have been afraid to actually see what it's like on the other side. He doesn't know how to be a kid.
Yeah.
What Ashtray gonna do? He gonna go chill on the playground? Go play sports? This man's been drug dealing, killing, and everything else. It's just like that's all he knows. And that hurt.
Yeah.
This right here hurt. I don't. I am still trying to recover. I don't know how y'all was doing this immediately after the show.
Listen, we're trying our best, man. Gab, same question for you. When you see the little man going out the way he did, again, do you think in his mind, it was just like, this is how I was, like, he's like Big Dog said, this is how I was raised. I'm not gonna have you take the fall for something I did. Very, noble of him, but at the same time, yo, you're going out with your guns in your hand. You almost cost you technically, if I'm not mistaken, he did shoot Fez in the stomach accidentally. But your thoughts on Ashtray, and then we'll get into the big question. I know you can't kill kids on screen, but is he dead?
I think he is dead. I definitely think he's dead. I 100% think he's dead. I think having to relive this moment and talk about it again, mental warfare, that's not fair. Second, third of all, I love Ashtray and Fezco. I will ride till I die for these two boys. Love them. I I didn't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know because I just feel like I'm mad for a bunch of different reasons, but it's not at the characters. Like I'm mad at the writers. I'm mad. You had a whole family of narcissistic, psychopathic pedophiles, rapists, who literally execute on television that we all would have been like, okay, this works. You took the only two sources of hope and happiness that we were getting all season. That was so disrespectful. Not happy about it. And honestly, my neighbors probably think I'm a girl who just got broken up with her boyfriend because I was hysterical crying, screaming. I was like, this is not happening. You're not doing this, Sam Levinson. He did it. I was upset.
He did it.
I'm very mad about the subject.
And then the nerve, I'm looking at the scene as we're talking, the nerve for Ashtray to then hit Fez in the head with the shotgun to take the fall. It's just, it's frustrating, but at the same time, I don't know, is it honorable of him to take the fall for his brother, knowing that it was his, I don't know. It's just a whole lot of.
For an 11-year-old, that's honorable. Because any 11-year-old I know would be like, yeah, I'm taking my iPad. I'm going to go outside because I'm going to fail. You have fun.
That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do.
All he needed was the iPad, man.
He went out the guns blazing, and we get to the moment where, again, before we get to that moment, I'm looking at it now, and starting with you, Gab, we see Nate. He has a gun in his hand. Okay, that's not a good thing. He's walking up, and I'm like, is he going to Fez's house? Where is he going? We see on the wall, Kyle Jacobs, construction. Yo, my man Kyle's living his best life out here. I'm thinking Derek's in there. I think he's reunited with Derek. I think he's reunited with, the big question at hand. I think he got his, the third kid. I'm thinking he's hanging out with his son.
This boy.
We'll talk about that. That kid that's missing since 1995. Gab, walk me through it. I mean, we see Nate going there, hug his dad. This is what you like. This is your lifestyle. I'm thinking he's gonna shoot up the whole place, but we all know what he did. Your thoughts on this scene? When I was doing the watch along, I asked the audience, "Do you feel bad?" I'm gonna ask you the same question, Gabby. A big dog. Did you feel bad for Kyle? Did you root for Nate at that scene? What were y'all heads at?
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn about this Jacobs family. I'm tired. And the audacity, that cutscene, I'm telling you, that made me so angry that you had me waiting to see if Fez and Ashtray were okay, and you put me on pause for the Jacob family.
Yes.
I don't care about the Jacob family. You have Ashtray and Fez in trouble right now. These people, one's been driving drunk up and down, going to gay bars, getting himself kicked out, beaten the head. The other one has a girlfriend, broke up with the girlfriend, has a new girlfriend. Same, like these two can't. I thought he was gonna kill him. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, same.
I was like, oh,
Same.
maybe they'll just get into like a gunfight. This could be
Just kill each
cool.
other.
We get there, he
Kill
doesn't
two
get into
birds
a
with one
gunfight.
stone.
Okay. Cal Jacobs really said, I'm not changing for any of you.
Yeah. Yes, he definitely did. And it's so funny tossing it to you, Big Dog. Listen, both of these guys have had head trauma this season. You know, one was obviously African from Nate. Cal got the shotgun to the head. So they're both out of their minds this season. But what was your mind at in this scene? Again, I gotta ask, man, did you, I guess, which one, if you had to pick one, and you gotta pick one, did you feel bad for Cal, or were you happy that Nate did what he did? You gotta pick one.
Okay, yeah, cool. I mean, I don't mind. I was happy Nate did what he did.
Okay.
I was happy because as much as messed up as Nate is, I think that's a part of what Cal put him through. Okay, don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. You know, I like to see both of them set ablaze. Okay, don't get me wrong. But I do. I have to I point out the fact that what happened from Nate scarred him for life. You know, and I think shooting him, yes, that's the easy route. But like you said, Cal was out here living his best life.
Man.
You know, and if Cal dies in that moment, it's like, cool, I done did everything I wanted to do. I'm out here chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when Nate actually confronts him and really puts everything on the table and really has him start looking back at things, there's a moment where Cal actually, because Cal has completely neglected to take responsibility for literally any of his actions and anything that he's done.
Yep.
So he finally does that. But I'm like, this is so much more satisfying when I see they pull out that disc. I'm like, okay, he going to jail. So you finna have to suffer. You're not getting off. Nah, death is too kind for you.
Yeah.
It's too kind for you. You finna have to go sit in that cell. Now, granted, we know Cal. He might like that.
Say, you don't think Cal would do good in prison?
He probably built the jail, right? He probably built it from the ground up.
He might did, but I feel like that was Nate's best play.
You might like it there.
He's in heaven. You made a good point, Gab. He's probably happy. So I guess I'm confused too, Gab. So Nate brings the gun, knowing that the cops are coming. Was it just to put fear in his dad at that moment? To just be like, if I got full control over you, I got a gun in front of you. What was the point of the gun if he wasn't going to use it besides just making his dad think that his son was going to kill him?
This is the same boy that had a scene last episode and said, that was such a joke.
Yeah, that's true. He just carries
there
a
were
gun
no
like
bullets in the gun. Barnes laughing. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think Nate to me scares me because he very much gives me like high school boy that is grown up with never maybe a few family problems, never had to work for nothing, never had to, just thinks he owns the world, and fear is power. So I think for him, a gun is like, that's the utmost, that now someone has to respect me. Like, now you're going to respect me because I can kill you. But he knows otherwise no one respects him. No one's afraid of him unless he has a weapon.
Yeah. And that's we always kind of speculated when we found out that Maddie had the tape. Did she make copies? When Nate gave the tape over to Jules, did he make copies? Which he did, which I guess was a good thing. But I guess the question at hand is this taking it to you first, Big Dog? Is this the last of Cal, or is there a plot in season 3 that we see this conversation when he's going through court? Him and Nate have that conversation. Him and Masha have that conversation. This goddamn third child who's out there somewhere, or Derek visit him in jail. Like, do you want more of Cal, or is this the end, and are you satisfied with the conclusion of Cal?
I think I am satisfied with the conclusion of Cal. Is there room for it? Yeah, I think there's definitely room for him to get out. I thought some of the legal system he might find a way around it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know all the people on that tape. I don't know all the ages of them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But the
Right.
Jules one, I don't. And there's a part of me that feels like, and this is weird. We know how terrible
Hey,
he is.
that's it,
There's a
man.
part of me that feels like Nate wouldn't put Jules on that just because I do feel like he has something for her, and he wouldn't want to bring her back into that world where she
Yeah,
has to
because there's
like
gonna
deal
be
with like,
questions. Yeah, if you're on the tape, you're
yeah.
gonna probably bring her into court or whatever. Yeah.
I kind of feel like he wouldn't do that to her. So it's a question of everybody else on there,
Right.
and like as far as those situations, I think there's a way Cal might possibly slide by.
Sure.
But if this is the last we saw of him, I think it's very satisfying that we just have to do the next thing with his son.
Gab, same question for you. Again, we know how despicable Cal is. We got a little bit of his backstory, which I still don't. I guess I still don't know what the point of that Derek flashback was. Just to make the
He's not
audience.
gonna get Derek.
Yeah, is it just
I
to
guess to
was
make
it to
the
make you
point.
feel like he missed out on his high school, and that's why he was so infatuated with younger people because he never lived his. I don't know, but do you want more of any of Cal's plot, or you're good how things are ended with that character?
I know this song.
I hate Cal first season. I still hate the Jacobs, but I like Cal because Cal makes Nate nuts. If that makes sense.
Mm,
I think keeping Cal and keeping him in the mix makes Nate nuts.
mm.
So Nate's not really triggered by anyone else. So if you take his trigger, he's what? He's the almighty powerful Nate? No, there's got to be there has to be something that can eliminate him. And we all know it's
Yeah.
Cal. So I think eliminating Cal altogether will just give Nate this crazy power storyline that he's untouchable. And now we don't know if we have Fesco, so we're running out of allies here.
Yeah, yeah,
We have
yeah.
no allies. We're showing up to the party alone.
And I'm looking at the scene here, not to bring up old wounds because I know how hard this is, but I'm just looking at the intensity of this scene. And I know, Gab, you said it's definitive. You do think that Ashtray is dead. I don't know if I asked you yet, big dog. Is Ashtray dead? Or is it? I know you can't show a kid being killed on screen, but sometimes you could have showed him got shot in the shoulder. You could have shot him, shot him in the leg. Is Ashtray still on the table, or is he finito?
He shot a cop, bro.
Yeah,
He shot a cop.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
especially how. Yeah.
They shot him once. Listen, and here's the thing. They shot him. All you heard was the thud after. They shoot him in the arm. He yells.
Good
They
point.
shoot
Good
him
point.
in the foot, leg, side. He yells. They shot him. You heard a thud. That's the end of. Oh man, I hate to say it. I hate to say it. It's the end of it.
It's the end of them. Well, to that point, we can give him all the flowers, all the credit to this little kid actor. Start him. Take it back to you, big dog. What did you think about the Ashtray character? Started off as who is this little thug running around with Ashtray or with Fez, to learning how he met Fez and seeing how he's such more of a ride or die. How do you feel about this character's arc? Since we are, saying that this is the last of them, that we got the end of them tonight.
As much as we didn't get fully into him as a person, but I don't think there was a lot of complexities to him until we see him about to leave. Okay, this is a guy who came up in a tough situation. His mother literally abandoned him. Okay, because she owes some money for drugs, and so he's brought up in this world, in this game, in this territory, this life. And so this is all I said this earlier. This is all this kid knows. Okay. And we see that he's not afraid of anything. He's gun ho, he's quick, he's on point, he's about it. But then that moment where he feels like he just put his brother in danger and that he might have to live without him because that's all Ashley doesn't have any friends, man. It's him and Fez and my Dukes who can't move, can't do nothing.
Yeah.
So once all of that, you see that's about to be taken away. Like, what else is there for me in this world? And we see that kid like come out. You see it the moment before they pan to. I mean, to before he gets inevitably killed.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Well, after he shoots the cop, it's just like a look on his face,
Yeah,
like
man.
wow, like this is it. Like,
I don't want to put the picture up for Gab because I don't want her to go through that moment again. I mean, the moment right now that Fez is giving us. But I'm
I'll
sorry.
turn
Go
it.
ahead. Go ahead, big dog. What were you saying? The kid in him?
yeah, like I think that's the first time we actually see the kid in him come out. Like
Yeah.
that whole process is just like, and he was like, I don't want to say battling with his demons, but he just battling with everything he's known. Even when Fed slapped him, and just like, yo, you got to go. He put his head on his head, just like you got to go get out of here. And like you never seen him panic like that.
Yeah.
And then up to that moment where he goes, it's just like, damn, this is a kid who got put in a tough situation and only did what he knew, but ultimately it cost him his life. And man, it's sad. It's so sad.
It is sad. I mean, the
Yeah.
Gab tossing it to you, and then we'll talk about Fez here in a second. But we mentioned a product of his environment, kind of grew up in the wrong situation. I don't, and I think Big Dog, you said it earlier. There is no life, for Ashtray as far as like kids, family. This is the life he knew, and this is how he wanted to go out his way. So I guess any final words for Ashtray from you, Gab, before we get into, I mean, what do we do with Fez? I mean, he's never going to be the same.
But here's the thing about this show. Every character has like one severe trauma that sends them over the
Mm-hmm.
edge. And Fezco was just given his.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like his backstory and Ashtray's backstory, yes, rough backstory, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But that grandmother really did love them. And they like, yeah, didn't have the perfect parent situation. However, that's not always necessary. You could tell that the kid, like, they were loved. And even though the grandma is where she is, they were willing to take care of her. So obviously, she was very good to them up until whenever the point was. So I think for Ash, yeah, like there was no thought of like, oh, I'm gonna go to high school or
Right.
I'm gonna go get a job. Like he didn't really understand that. I think he truly believed he was a gangster, like you're a gangster and that's it. I'm a drug
Life.
dealer, gangster, and that's
Yeah.
the life I want to live. But I think he took because he was younger, he took the idea a little too far. Like he played imagination with it a little too far compared to Fez, where Fezco was like, more about we're gonna think about it before we do it. And Ashtray just wanted to be a thug, like wanted to be the gangster. So I'm just sad to see him go because I know that poor, poor, poor Fezco is going to have such a rough time. This
Would
is
you
not
yeah, I mean, you said it so perfectly, which brings me to my next point. And if you want to continue to elaborate on that, Gap, what next for Fez? Because I'm looking at it now. They cut what they did so beautifully. We see, okay, so he lost his brother. His whole life just lost before his eyes. But we cut that between when Lexi sees her dad coming from the hospital and then in the position that he's in, she had family to support her. We see right now with Rue and when her dad died and all that stuff, they had someone there to support them. Feds don't have anyone at this point. I mean, my man was literally just arrested after he just lost his brother. So again, Gab, tossing to you. Fez season 3, is he off? Like, are we visiting him in jail? Are we going to explore this character at all? Like, what do we do at this point?
my writer brain would say like you already killed Ash, you took him already, so you have the opportunity to make it that Ash was the aggressor and he's the one who shot the cop, he's the one who killed whatever that useless other guy's name is, I don't even remember his name. But like you can run with the narrative that Ash obviously was killed by the cops, he's the one who did it, and they're not going to keep Fezco because he was shot at too, because it did kind of look like that. It kind of looked like Ashtray was shooting at everybody because it's not like he was trying to pay attention to where Fezco was.
Yeah.
So if that like is an option, I would go that option because this is a major turning point for Fezco. So you're either going to see him go balls to the walls and really lose it and become that angry gangster that he wasn't, and possibly have Lexi talk him off that ledge. I would love to see that. Like I would love to see her jump in and be there for him. So maybe that's an option. But I don't
Yeah.
think we're closing out the Fezco Lexi. I don't think it's the end for Fez. I definitely don't think so. No way.
Big dog. Is Fez off the table? Season 3. Is Lexi going to visit him in jail and giving her memoirs and plays that she's writing in the future and get his editorial opinions on stuff? Or are they going to try to get him out of, putting all this money that she saved up for the play? They're going to get that for, hashtag free Fez out of jail. What are we getting with Fez next season, man, if anything?
I don't know, man, because I was thinking, Gab, I was thinking about the exact same thing you were thinking about. It's like, well, I'm just thinking, like, the person you can put everything on is the one who's gone right now. It's just, I don't know how. Fed's pretty street, man, and I just don't see him being able to do that and put that on Ashtray, even though it was Ashtray. Like we all know it was him.
Yeah.
It's just like Fez get caught with the knife in his hand. He's just like, they're gonna be like, well, you did have the knife. You're like, well, yeah, I killed him. And he's not gonna be like, nah, that was my brother who did that. I just don't see that. I don't see that being in Fez's character from just because of how street he is. Now, granted, you might have, like you said, Lexa might come into play, and I really, really hope she does, because I'm not. One thing I'm like, I want to see her reaction to her finding out
We didn't
about
get
what
that.
happened.
We did not get that, which is kind of disappointing. Well, it is disappointing.
Very much disappointing.
It was very confusing because it was like we needed a closure for that. We got the closure with Fezco. We knew what happened.
Yeah.
But no one else in the neighborhood found out what happened. No one knows. Everyone just
I'm
like
I don't know.
he didn't show up. She ignored the text. I don't know. I don't don't get it.
There's a part of me feel like that's what they want to start the next season with, like what. But and I don't want to like get too far off subject, but Rue also pretty much like gives the whole thing about what happened the rest of the year. So I'm like, are they going?
Good point.
Are they going to go back? Yeah, I don't know. But as far as I don't know what they do with Fed, because I feel like that situation kind of you can definitely bring him back. Just I don't know if I would feel like it's believable that he would just be like, yeah, that was my brother who did it. There you go.
And by the way, someone asked in the chat, "Is Faye still alive?" So I'm watching episodes. We're talking. They obtained her. She's alive, and the grandmother's still alive too. So Faye, yes, we more Faye, because we talked about her early, big dog. Shout out to Faye. She stepped up. She was like, the lips and all. she came through and stepped up. So more Faye next season. And to your point, Gab, when you mentioned earlier in regards to, okay, we may have substituted a Cat storyline or Jules storyline for, Lexi and Fez getting more screen time. And, I wish we can get our cake and eat it too, but maybe now with Fez off the table, Ashtray off the table, Cal off the table, more of Cat, more of Jules, more of, certain characters that felt a little bit underwhelming this season. We might get that substitution. I know I hate to, put it that way, but maybe that's a blessing, and I don't say blessing in disguise, but maybe that's the substitute. We take these players off the table, get more characteristics with those. Is that something you guys will want to see? Would you feel okay with that? Getting more of that Cat in substitute of Fez and so on and so forth?
Well, I felt like even after season 1, I kind of felt like it was going to go in a different direction where like more other characters will like get more to do. Because like I think after season 1, I was just like, okay. You know how they always give a backstory on characters? I had a list of people I figured that they were going to do that with. Like even next season, I think the girl named Bonnie or Bobby, the black girl that was helping Lex, I think she's going to be one of those characters as well. So I don't think we're going to necessarily go backwards. I think we're going to just move forward with what we have. And like they still going to introduce a couple new pieces because we still technically haven't got Elliot.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, he's we talked about, he was a mystery character, and that's for sure. But I guess moving on to this friendship that I've been hoping to get back on track. Gab, we see again, we talked about how Rue stepped up for Lexi and was shouting her and getting the crowd back together. I don't want to say I'm confused by the scene, but when they're having the conversation about, she's apologizing to her, that was a past flashback with Rue and Lexi,
I
right?
don't know because part of me is very confused because Rue looked sober to
Clean.
me,
Yeah.
looked clean.
Right. Yeah.
So what? But this is where my brain also went. I don't know the timing of where things were.
Yeah.
So none of us do. And it's very confusing. I also feel like this play has lasted 6 months. No one's changed an outfit. How are you guys? Like, what? You guys have been here for 6 days.
Yeah.
So I just don't get that. I can't, I couldn't understand it. If she was clean and sober, when Lexi got on that stage and said that the play was for Fezco,
Yeah.
even though he couldn't be here, was that timing after Fesco? What? Because if Rue was already clean, this is already happening.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
that
very
time.
confusing. I'm literally looking at it right now. Big Dog, do you have it like time? Because again, the way that Rue, as Gabby says, she looks clean, and she even says, thank you for the play. I like the play. Would you rather had Cassie like to play more? But then the conversation at hand, that scene is in the play. So
Yeah, yeah.
when did that take? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. I was the same with y'all because I'm just like, okay, there's a part of me, there's a part of me that, and I think kind of back to like last week's episode where you had the scene where Cassie and Nate, and I think it's how what's the name, how Lexa perceived it, because if you remember that scene, Nate didn't have any dialogue in that scene. It was just basically Cassie doing all the talking.
Yeah.
But we know that my bad, Lexi wouldn't know of that because she never actually seen those two together.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me feels like she's thinking of how that conversation with Rue is going to go, and
Right.
she put it. I could be wrong. That's probably just my only way of just justifying it, or just maybe they wanted to mix it up together. I have no idea.
It was so confusing.
And that's the beauty, the gift, and the curse of the show is the whole kind of what we're in the thoughts and the mind of our characters, but then at the same time it's kind of like we're watching outside looking in. So it is kind of a bit of a confusing moment. But the meat of the conversation though is that Lexi and Rue, maybe season 3, can now be back to being friends. It's not just a one-sided relationship, and Rue can be there for Lexi can be there for Rue, so on and so forth, which I think, if you all agree with me, Gab, is that a storyline that you are happy that we can finally see Rue having a friend that is not toxic in Lexi? Well, I won't say that. Lexi did throw some people's laundry out there in the play, but she's not as toxic as everyone else.
It was all well deserved.
Very much.
She didn't do anything any of us wouldn't have. So it's
Yeah.
fine. Lexi gets that. I'm kind of excited for that. I think
Yeah.
it's a healthy thing for Rue, especially because I think she finally gave the whole Jules situation a wash, finally. And I think, obviously she can't hang out with Elliot because he's still using or doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
That's just a downward spiral if she attaches herself to it. So
Right.
Lexi and Rue I think that's going to be a very good storyline. I can't tell you it's going to be the most interesting, but I can tell you it's going to be a good. It'll be a good one.
I hear you. Big Dog, Lexi, and Rue, the two best friends getting on the same page for the first time. I think we've never seen that in the show, so that'll be maybe something exciting to explore next season.
Yeah, I think that's actually the moment I've probably been waiting. Well, one of the moments I've been waiting on since the show started. Once we saw how their relationship was and how much like Lexa held her down, that moment where they finally come together and they just sit, and I'm just like, I've always seen y'all friendship and how they were like deliberately placed those two in just spots together, whether they was talking or not. They would like deliberately put those two in shots together where you see one, you see the other. So when you finally get that moment where they connect, and the thing about the possibilities of them moving forward and what that's possibly gonna mean for the show, that makes me like really really happy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm glad that, again, that it can be a two-way friendship rather than Lexi just always being there for Rue, for P, for whatever Rue needed at that time. So I'm glad that that's maybe something we can explore next season, which I don't know if you all felt a little bit underwhelmed by the conversation between, we talked a little bit up top about it, Gab, with Jules and Rue. Yeah, I think it's so interesting that Rue was the one to walk away from Jules this season versus paralleling that to last season with Jules leaving her at the train station. How do you all feel about that conversation? Starting with you, Gab. We talked about Jules and maybe getting her back on plot next season, but how do you feel about that conversation at hand? Was Rue right in doing that and leaving her and like, assuming that she's
100%.
figuring it herself?
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
100%. Because I think she finally did it for herself. And I think
Yep.
that was like a big moment for her. Like not giving into Jules, not giving into that whole love spiral that she was on with her was a major step in the right direction for Rue because it was for herself. It wasn't for Jules or whatever. But I kind of feel I had a gut feeling about this conversation and like even just the way it ended and the way she walked out and the whole I have like a gut feeling that they were like, Miss Zendaya is like actually becoming like an A-list Academy Award winning actress. And I don't know how long she's going to want to come back to the high school Euphoria drug addict mode. Like she might win another Emmy and then say, start writing me off. Just because I felt like that was so odd. I stayed sober until however, and then she just walks out. She was clean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like it was like an ending to a character, whether it was Jules, but I don't think so because there's parallels. So like maybe this is where Jules really loses her shit the same way Rue left on the season 1.
I hope not, because I want these kids to be safe and to be smart. But we all love the
But
drama.
that's not good TV.
I
That's not
better
good.
say
Yeah,
that's not good
yeah, that's not
TV.
good.
We all love the drama, so
It's smart.
we
I'm not
want
watching that show.
Big Dog, same question for you. Jules comes over to Rue, who, like we said, seems to be clean. She's doing it for herself, which is great. But what next for these two? Are they going to get back together? Are they going to clean, figure out who they are before they can, be a thing, be a couple?
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think this was the end of that. And I don't even think it was a bad thing. Or Rue did it in like a mean way. It was just like, you know what? Nah, like this like I love you. No hate, no nothing. Just
Yeah.
maybe we gotta part ways. And as far as and I think next season they're gonna do something where Jules is introduced to someone else and Rue's comfortable with it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where it's headed towards.
Yeah.
As far as Rue being in a relationship, I don't know. I just at this point I don't know if Rue even would ever want to be with anybody.
Nah. I mean, that's an interesting prospect. Rue clean for a whole season. Like Gab said, I would think as an actress, she would probably want to explore that other side of that character and not just always be, high and making terrible decisions. Again, we want the dynamics, the stuff that kind of makes the characters compelling. But I would like to see what a clean Rue looks like for a full season. But speaking of, friendships or, things of that nature, I didn't want to leave out Cassie and Maddie have a bit of a understanding of each other. As Maddie gives her the tips. This is only the beginning of Nate Jacobs. When you're dealing with Nate, you not only get your face smashed in by me, courtesy of Maddie, but emotionally your heart smashed in. So, Gab, was that a big props to Maddie having that conversation and not just keep continuously welling on her? And by the way, the fact that she had a scratch on her foot versus the way that Cassie is hilarious. But Gab, your thoughts on I guess this kind of two-parter. Your thoughts on that scene, and what do you want from Maddie next season?
Okay, let's see. First of all, that I do not think that was her. That situation did not give me Maddie being nice. That gave me like you like it's just the beginning and you're not even strong enough to make it through. Like very much like, oh, you weren't cut out for this. Like you're not going to survive this kind of comment, which I loved because again, I think it was very true to Maddie. I don't think her letting this go and then becoming best friends again with Cassie makes any sense. And I don't think for her character it would even be like an option. I almost feel like her being angry is part of the character too. I'm all about Miss Maddie. I want to see new love interests for Maddie. That was kind of sucky this season that it was just about like her going back and forth with Nate. I feel like you could have given her a little bit of a love interest or thrown somebody else in there for drama.
For a minute, I thought they was going that route with that Samantha character.
Right. But
But
like, I don't know. I just want to see her in a relationship with someone else that's not Nate. I want to see how that would unfold. I want to see who it would be. That would be interesting. And I think her like relationships, we obviously saw she was friendship, like she had a friendship with Jules in the beginning of the season. So maybe we'll see more of that. And she did hug Rue. So and Rue is the one who told her. So maybe they'll be
that
best
would be
friends.
interesting.
I'm
I
down
would
for
like that. I would say that would be a very
that. There.
dynamic. Yeah.
I'd
I
be
like
friends
that.
with her. I'd be like, thank you so much. So maybe I'd hope so. I hope Maddie.
Ooh, Maddie giving Rue some dress up tips and changing her,
Oh, oh wow.
making her look like Zendaya in the show.
Yes.
That would be funny.
Oh
Big Dog, your thoughts again on that scene between the two ex best friends, and if it was a sense of a friendly tip to Cassie, like Maddie, I just beat your ass, but hey, that's just the tip of the iceberg when you're dating Nate, or if it was malicious and just kind of like sarcastic, like Gab was kind of alluding to. And what do you want from Maddie next season? I think she's a junior, right? She's not a senior like Nate, right?
That's what I was wondering, man.
Because
Because
she always made it seem
I'm a
like
bit
last week she was going out of
confused.
town when she was talking to Samantha, like she was going to college or something.
Right.
I was thinking, I'm just like, okay, I knew Nate was a senior, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I could have swore the others were like juniors and sophomores, maybe.
that's what I always thought. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't know because she.
Rue has to be 17 because in the bedroom with her mom, she said you're gonna be 18
18
soon.
soon. Yeah, I think everyone besides Nate is 17.
Okay,
And I think Nate, like you just said, is going off to college, and everyone else will be a senior come next year
Yeah.
Matt is 18 because I remember Samantha made it a point to mention
with
that.
her birthday. Okay,
So
interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe she
Yeah,
was late. Maybe she went to school late. She'll be a
yeah,
senior.
yeah, yeah.
Eight. Yeah, maybe
We gonna see.
we'll
But
see.
as far as that moment between those two, I think it was just Maddie's way of like, yeah, I'm done with this. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, I think she finally she got her emotional side out. She got her rage out. She's just like, yeah, you go deal with that, whatever. I'm gone. I'm done with you. And I'm excited to see what she does next season as well. I thought they were gonna do more with the Travis character that we saw in episode one. I don't know if Lil Meech's gonna be busy with BMF or we can like
Yeah,
jump back and forth between the two. I thought they were gonna do something with that
I
because he
thought.
was
Yeah,
one of the characters. I thought, okay, we're gonna get a backstory on him next season, but we didn't see him no more. I'm like, maybe not. But it would be nice to see Maddie in a loving relationship where she can like really be vulnerable to somebody and like they hold her down. So yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see her and I want to explore that friendship between her and Jules as well. That's the one because it was hinted at so many times. I thought they were gonna really connect, but I think they had the plan for season three the whole time, and they were just like, yeah, we gonna plant some seeds, and they're gonna sprout next season.
we will see, my friend. But last little thing I want to touch on is the last scene here. Again, we talked about Rue, saying her we're assuming goodbyes for now for Jules, and she let me know if I was the only one thinking this. When we see Rue walking out to school,
Oh,
not going out the front door, but going out the back door,
uh-huh.
I was just expecting a van. I was expecting Lori and her crew snatching Rue up and having us end on this moment like, what was happening? We didn't
Also,
get to,
that
and
wasn't
also
the
Gab mentioned
high
she's
school. That wasn't
yeah,
that was
that was
the
like
Warner
a
Brother
lot.
lot.
That was
That
a
was
lot.
the
That was a
Warner
lot.
Brother lot. I was sitting in bed like
That's
that's
how
not
in
someone that's
depth
not high school.
Lexi's play was so high produced. It was on a Warner Brothers lot. But I was thinking that was going to be the case. And like Gab said, she even says in the scene that she's been clean for the rest of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think about Rue's ending? Are we slightly disappointed that Lori had nothing to do with the rest of this season, Big Dog?
Yes, yes, I am. But if you remember, Faye made it a point to put the blame on Mouse's death on Lori.
Yeah.
I think after they left and with grabbing Fez, they also would probably went snatched up Lori's people. Lori's people, okay, this is just me going. Lori's people eventually gonna get out. Rue's gonna realize she never paid them. I don't think Laura herself gonna go. I think it's gonna be one of the guys that work for her. They gonna get them. Of course, eventually they'll get out. They still need their money from Rue. I think that's kind of where I see, but I don't want it to get too like caught up in like the fantasy element. Where he's like, oh, he's running from drug dealers and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
It's,
but
it's
but,
a
but I
different
but
show at
I
that point.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but I still do feel like, hey, that was something huge, and like this woman literally said, yo, I'm gonna get my money back one way or another. So
Yeah.
not getting anything at all, not even a hint to it, is disappointing.
Gab, are you in the same boat? Did you again, we all know that's a season 3, but again, this was a pretty prominent plot. I mean, we literally met Lori episode 1. She did what she did to Rue, giving her the morphine, alluding to her selling her and getting that money back in that sense. Were you a bit disappointed that Lori had no plot, any screen time at all in this finale, or any implications that she was maybe going to snatch up Rue or looking at her from a distance? Were you a little bit disappointed with that
Yeah,
plot?
yeah, I mean, it was like something was missing again, but again, because between COVID protocols and then the fact that they chose to do this all on film, I think a lot either got cut or thrown, or this didn't make sense, or this didn't come out good enough, or just because there's too many pieces that are missing here. Like,
Yeah.
we're still missing Lori. We don't know what happened. What happened to the little boy? Where's the little boy from the Jacobs family? Does anybody know? Is Marcia concerned? Because she doesn't seem it, and I want to know why. Did she give the child up? Who's the boy? So many questions. But I feel like Lori's storyline could take into season 3, and that could be a major, major, major player in season 3, especially if Drew is like sober now.
It's so interesting because it sounds very interesting, but it almost feels like it's not. It's like a different show. If we have like Lori chasing Rue, it's like it's almost a different type of vibe. But again, we'll see what comes of it. But I almost, when you brought all those questions up, Gab, and even a Big Dog, it almost feels like this season was almost incomplete compared to season 1. Like, if we would have never got a season 2, I would have been, besides the only cliffhanger we got was, did Rue overdose when she had her singing moment, but everything else seemed to be pretty wrapped up, tied up pretty well. With this season, not so much. Big Dog, did you feel the same in regards to, again, we know there's a season 3, but we can't use it as a crutch. You got to tell a story in a season, because you might not get a season 3. I mean, we know that they announced it and all that stuff, but who knows what comes? Productions come and go all the time. But your thoughts on this? We'll kind of wrap up this conversation with your thoughts on season 2, and feeling complete, incomplete, satisfied, dissatisfied. Your thoughts on this season as a whole, my friend?
As far as the season, I will say I'm satisfied, and I absolutely loved it all throughout. But I am big on telling a complete story with the season. Like, I feel like you can always leave room for certain things, but if you open something up, you got to close it before you leave. Okay, and you can sprinkle a couple things there to where I'm of the same mindset of like, tell that story. Okay, if there's room to be told after that, that's cool, but tell that story.
Yeah.
And as far as like, bro, we didn't get any closure with like Lexi and Fez, which is probably one of the biggest, which was a huge part, and like what I think sucked a lot of people in was their relationship. We didn't get any closure with them. We know what happened to both of them. Lexi had a successful play. Fred probably goes to jail, but we didn't like get her reaction to that. Nate dad goes to jail. We don't know. Did Cassie go back home? The whole Lori situation is just certain questions that you introduced and it felt prominent to the show should have been answered by the end of it.
Gab, any thoughts on this? I know we talked about a little bit up top, but just kind of summarizing this finale and just kind of thinking of it as a whole. Do you feel whole? Do you feel complete? Do you feel a little bit kind of cheated? We talked about some of the behind the scenes stuff this season overall. As a Euphoria fan, does it leave you happy?
I don't know if I'm like 100% happy. I don't think like I said, I think the writing, I think the story lost a lot of, I don't know even how to explain it. I would say momentum, but there was a ton of momentum the whole season. It wasn't even like the season was boring. it just has so many plot holes. There's just so many things missing. But season 1 did leave us kind of guessing with the overdose and the tape, which was a major player in season 1. That was major, and they completely left us hanging for 2 years on it.
Yeah.
So am I surprised? Not really. The only thing about the end of this episode and the end of the season is I did love that she ended on that lot. But I did get nervous that she ended on that lot because I just have a gut feeling that Zendaya is not going to be as prominent in the next season. Because you're only like, she's definitely going to win an Emmy this year for this season. And for that
episode
argument,
5 locked that up for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But how many times are you going to win an Emmy for playing the same drug addict over and over?
Very true.
It's going to run its course, and she's unbelievable. So I think that it was almost, it kind of felt like a little bit of a goodbye. I wasn't really happy with it. That's what it felt like to me.
Gab, it breaks my heart to say, I think you're onto something because, the rumors right now, none of this has been confirmed, but, right now, a lot of people are speculating that it won't be till 2024 till we see a season 3 due to the fact, like Gab just said, Zendaya is not just a up and coming actress. She's been doing her thing lately, with these noms coming up with the Emmys. We know just a week ago she got announced to be starring in a Luca Guadagnino movie. We know she's in Spider-Man. They're not going to just,
they're not stopping.
They're not stopping for Euphoria. They want her to be back as MJ, and there's other opportunities for her as well. So you might be right, Gab. We might see Rue next season, but it might not be as. We might get Gia. Gia might come in more of a player. We might get more of Ali, which I would love, but. Big Dog, I mean, how does that make you feel, man? Are you thinking the same thing, that Rue's story and plot, because it could be repetitive to see her doing the same thing? Do you think we get less of Zendaya come season 3, or will people just riot?
Okay. I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is because of something I saw Zendaya talking about. She said, I want to explore the other side of this because, since the character based around Sam, she said, I want to explore that other side. So I think she's definitely going to lend herself to that for us. But I don't think they would deprive us of seeing her do better. It's like, that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see her do better. Granted, I know the drug addict rule is like good for television, but I think there's a way you can have sober rule good for television as well.
Right.
But here's my issue, though. I wouldn't mind they wrap everything up next season. I personally don't, and I love the show. Cut it off. You got it. Especially if she's sober. Season 3, wrap it up, man. I that's what I really want. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm part of like all the culty TV show fandom, so you can't say that to me because I'm like, I'll watch an 8th season runner.
You want to see them in college, kids, retiring.
Got 6B season, 6B. You're gonna tell me they for 7 years they found something to tell us about the same Italian man that never moved from the same house in Jersey. 7 years they found stories for us. They can find stories for Zendaya for the next 6. They could.
They could. I'm not saying they can. I'm not saying they can.
It's very interesting because this show, it does have a lot of layers, and also too, just from a time, and if we're just assuming, okay, this season 1 and 2 was literally 1 calendar year, if I'm not mistaken. We open in the fall or the summer of season 1, and we go all the way to the end of December, 2 specials in between. Then we open this season with New Year's Eve. So theoretically, if the show sticks to that route, we can get a 3 and a 4, and it's just this 1 year, and obviously do all that stuff. But I don't know if I think 3. I might be good, Gab, with 3. I don't know if I need a 4, a 5.
I gotta see 3 to make that decision.
That's true. That is so true.
3 could blow you away. And I'm just saying from experience, from content watching, a lot of shows give you the hardest first season. You're so addicted. Second season comes, you're like, well, this was fun. And then you go back for the 3rd season because you're going to give it another try, and they blow you out of the water.
Stranger Things did that for me. Season 1 was fire. Season 2 was a little Season 3 was fire. And there's other examples of that as well. So you might be onto something, Gab. You might be onto something. We'll see. I mean, listen, this is what needs to happen. Sam, you got Lexi writing these plays that are women Emmys and Tony Awards. Get Lexi in the writing.
Right. Put Miss
We
Lexi Howard in the
yeah.
writer's room.
You
She's
give
got the right
Lexi,
stories.
you give Lexi the budget they have on this show. There's no telling what she gonna put together.
Look, man, we're gonna get dragons, and it's gonna be Game of Thrones production come season 3 if you put it in Lexi's hands, based on that play. But
Lexi will put Marvel out of business. Lexi will be like, excuse me, Doctor Strange? Nope.
hey, speaking of Marvel, hey, Tom Holland, can we get a Tom Holland cameo next season? No, I do not want that. I'm joking. I do not need Tom Holland in the show. I love
think it's
Tom
so
Holland,
funny.
but it would literally take me out of the show if Tom Holland popped up. Hey, Peter Parker. I don't know, but
He's just walking in the hallways.
just walking. Yeah, it's like, guys, I don't need. Yeah, I don't need Mr. Tom Holland. But listen, what I do need is to thank these two people on the screen right now, Gab and Big Dog. They were the only people, and I loved all the guests that we had. So appreciative of their time to come on. We had D, Movie Man, we had Amanda, we had Sean from Lost in the Real, we had Steph, Kristen, we had Jay from Jay Worlds, we had Rakia and so many just great people. But these two here were able to be on these live shows 3 times. They got the awards, so they got the MVPs in my book. They are awesome.
Just a good time.
They're the best, and I really appreciate you, Gab and Big Dog. You guys are incredible. I really appreciate your time, and I can't believe it's the finale. I don't know what y'all gonna be watching these next Sundays, because again, if we're speculating to be 2 years, I don't know. But
I don't think they're gonna do 2 years. I don't think they're gonna do 2 years.
I hope you're right. Gab.
COVID,
such a big show.
COVID production wise has gotten better and more acclimated. People are like, now it's a moving system. Yeah. And also, you're not going to be able to hold on to an audience doing this every 2 years.
Yeah,
very true.
Like your characters are going to be 40 by the time they get to college. So
I mean, they already put it. They age.
They're all 25. I know. Yeah, they're all about 25 going on.
Alexa Demi will be like 35.
Yep.
Playing a 17-year-old.
She will.
Girl.
Listen, we talk about a time jump. We're gonna see them as parents next season. But listen, man, I'm so appreciative of Gab and Big Dog, and I want you guys to outro out. Starting with you, Gab. Again, I'm so appreciative. I think we've literally been like Instagram friends for over like 2 years, and we watch a lot of the same shows. And you're such a dope individual. With the stuff you do on your day job is incredible. The stuff you do on your TikTok is incredible, and hopefully we can do more of these conversations in the future. But why don't you let the fine folks at home know where you're at, where they can find you, and all that good stuff?
Of course. I'm on Instagram, Gabriella Angelina, same thing as TikTok. TikTok's usually where all the reviews go 9 times out of 10, and I always have the best Euphoria sounds, so you can always count on that.
She does. And what is there a next show or something that we can look forward to coming from you, Gab?
I am rolling with the punches with The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I love The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and I think we have Umbrella Academy soon. Like that should be like really soon. So I'm excited. And Medea, please go watch Medea if you haven't. I laughed really hard. I love Tyler Perry. I
have a love and hate with Tyler Perry, but I might have to check it out because I always trust your opinion, Gab. But again, I thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can do more of these in the future. Big Dog, my man, I appreciate you, man. It's been an honor getting able to know you the last year or so, with our mutual friend Brandon, doing these discussions, man. Such a big fan of your content, my friend. And as I did with Gab, if you want to do me the honors, do the audience an honors, tell these people where they can find you. What's the next Big Dog One Take coming on the YouTubes, on the Twitters, on the TikTok? What you got lined up for the folks, man?
Well, yeah, Elliot, first of all, man, I really appreciate you for bringing me on. Me and you talked about this beforehand, but I was super excited when you sent the invite over for the first time, I think it was the first episode. I was happy about that. So I really enjoy that, and I appreciate you for doing this, allowing me to meet great people. Shout out to you, Gab. But yeah, find me on Instagram, Twitter, once again, TikTok, all the social media platforms that One Take Big Dog. We got some stuff that I've been keeping in the chamber for a while. I got my Train to Busan review and my the Raid Redemption review going up. Been meaning to get those up for a while now. My solo Euphoria review is up as well. And just like Gab, I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So I have my review for episodes 3 and 4. Those will be up tomorrow. So yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Been hearing about Maisel, this show for a while. I heard it's so great, it's so fantastic.
Have you not seen?
I have not. I have not.
Oh
Four
God.
seasons,
Dude.
5 seasons. How far am I?
No, it's
4.
yeah, 4 seasons. It's on Amazon Prime, but
Yeah.
it is one of the most beautiful timepieces.
I've heard it is so good. I've seen that actress in one other 2 projects. She was in Billionaire movie that came out. It was like an indie film, and she was in some Amazon movie which it was like in the 60s or 70s or something. She's a great actress, but I heard that she is.
But Miss Ungermeyer's in
She's
it
great.
from Lizzie McGuire.
She is so good
I gotta
in
check
this
it
show.
out.
Like the production, everything about it,
Everything's
like
fire.
the
That's what I
timing.
heard.
Oh man,
That's what I hear.
You really feel like you're watching a show that was made
During that
like
time.
you're fully immersed in the world. There's
Okay.
not a single cell phone or like nothing.
Well, this show is in it. Maybe I can squeeze in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But as far as content here, tomorrow we'll be talking about a character that might have went to Euphoria High School, Bruce Wayne. We'll be talking Batman tomorrow, as well as there's a couple other things I have lined up this week. But yeah, expect some Batman coverage this coming week. But again, for myself, Gab, a Big Dog, I appreciate everyone for watching these live after shows. I'm gonna miss this. This is a lot of fun. I always look forward to this on Sunday night, especially when I have awesome people like you guys see on the screen now. So again, before you all leave, make sure to like, share, leave the conversation going in the comment section, subscribe to these incredible content creators, and keep an eye out for some more content this week. You guys have a great week. Stay safe. And yeah, don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. And don't sleep with your best friend's boyfriend either. There's a lot of things we can learn from the show. So those are some tips from here.
Don't sleep with your best friend's boyfriend.